Now, the Conservatives had told Global News they plan to structure this motion to make sure the government will fall, but none of this might actually matter, Anne, if the Prime Minister quits.
New year, new me. That's what a lot of people are saying. And a lot of people have different goals this year, maybe financial goals. You want to get a raise, you want to make more money, or being a first-time home buyer here in Canada. That's a phenomenal goal to have. Some people have the weight loss goal, and the list goes on. But for Justin Trudeau, it's none of those things. For him, it's clinging on to power for another 4 years. Now, no matter what, Justin Trudeau is going down in the history books. Not as the most popular prime minister, the most successful prime minister. Two things. The least popular prime minister Canada's ever had, and the richest prime minister Canada has ever had. Now, going into his prime minister ruling, King Trudeau, he was already quite rich, right? Being a trust fund baby, he was born into quite a bit of money. But the amount of money he's made since being prime minister, it doesn't make any sense. And that on its own should be investigated. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage y'all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. And I would really like to start off the new year by going into 440,000 subscribers. So I think we're almost there, but it'll certainly take a bit of a push to actually get over that hump. Now we're going to be taking a look at quite a few different things. All-time historic lows for any sitting prime minister, in this case, Justin Trudeau. More people are calling on Trudeau to resign. More of Trudeau's own people, I should be quite specific. Then you also have the fact that it's a very uphill battle for Justin Trudeau head into the new year because all of the other parties are bracing themselves for an election in the first couple of months. You also have Indian news taking more shots at Justin Trudeau, which, hey, I am all here for it, along with a couple other different stories in the mix. So without further ado, let's get right into this video, shall we? Starting things off with the polls. You got Pierre Poilievre at 232 projected seats with a bottom line of 206 and a top end of 253. I believe at the next update, you're going to start to see that climb even more. And chances are you're going to see Pierre Poilievre successfully win over 240 seats, which is a landslide victory. Now, Justin Trudeau is currently, according to a 338 model, he's at 39 projected seats with the 21% popular vote. Now, this number varies depending on which module you're getting your data from. Angus Reid shows that he's at 16%. 338 is showing 21%. Either way, it's not looking good for Trudeau, especially with the NDP and Jagmeet Singh right on his tail. And I'll be honest. I mean, if Jagmeet Singh is the one to successfully put forward that motion of non-confidence and trigger the election, I do think that he will gain a little bit more political points and be able to surpass Justin Trudeau in those polls, effectively becoming the official leader of the opposition, which is a weird thing to say, but is the reality of it. And then you've got the news of the Atlantic MPs, the Liberal MPs on the East Coast, who to be about a guy. They are saying, we don't want Trudeau to be prime minister. We're not asking him to resign, but we're going to the board of directors of the Liberal Party, which is crazy. It's like instead of telling on the teacher, you're going to the principal, I guess is the best analogy, to basically remove him as the leader and effectively put in an interim prime minister, which is all by the book, and it should happen. It really should happen according to the procedures that have been taken. But that's not the only people to call on something to happen with Justin Trudeau. You also have Quebec, the Quebec Liberals, which is, may I remind you, where Trudeau's riding is. He's a Quebecer, right? They are asking on him to basically resign or call an election because they don't want to be associated with Justin Trudeau anymore, which is insane. So no matter where you go, you got Liberal MPs that are saying, all right, it's time for you to basically call it quits. But in this article here, we're taking a look at the Politico. The majority of Justin Trudeau's caucus calls on him to quit. With the majority of his caucus now calling on him to resign, Justin Trudeau goes on a ski holiday and reflecting on whether to stay or go. Trudeau is way down in the polls, facing challenges from within his party about whether he's the right leader to unite Canadians. His decision comes as Canada braces for a tariff war when Donald Trump returns to the White House in 3 weeks. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on in the video. But the fact of the matter is that Trudeau thinks that he can win. And in fact, he doesn't seem to be bothered by any of the noise, whether it's political stickers like this, that shit on Justin Trudeau, the F Trudeau stickers, the F Trudeau flags, all of that stuff. He doesn't seem to think that that's any sign of him losing. He just says that's political noise or a small fringe minority. If I can bring you back to something that happened last year, you have this interview here where Justin Trudeau says those exact words. Let's take a look.
You're a factor in this, you personally. Why do you think people don't like you?
You know, I spend a lot of time talking with Canadians right across the country. I spent time this morning with construction workers, talking about the work that they were doing, building new rental units for Canadians here in Toronto. I think there is a lot of frustration with the way the world is unfolding, and that frustration is being taken out on people in positions of power. I get that. That's part of my job. But my job is to stay focused on the solutions that people are going to need, and that's what we're doing.
But what about you? I mean, we're both old enough to have seen a number of prime ministers, and I have never seen, the sticker that I saw yesterday in downtown Toronto running through the city with F Trudeau on the back of a pickup truck, flags with your name and the middle finger raised.
Yeah.
Why don't people like you?
There is a level of polarization and toxicity that we see in a very visible way on social media and also in real life, as you point out. But most Canadians remain thoughtful and open and decent, and yes, frustrated and worried about their future. But I also know Canadians are good people who are willing to work together to build that future, and I'm part of that.
Yeah. So if you protest Justin Trudeau in any capacity, you're not a decent person, was kind of the last little takeaway that I got from that. People are fed up with him, and he refuses to acknowledge that Trudeau himself, the person, is the problem, not the Liberal Party. I mean, yeah, they're all a problem, sure, but he's somebody that people do not like anymore. But he doesn't see it that way. He sees it as just overall, just kind of generic frustration, and he's okay, it sounds like, being the punching bag, metaphorically. I don't really get that mentality. I think that pressure is at some point going to make him snap, but we haven't really seen that yet. But I'd love to know down in the comments what you guys think about that. It just goes to show that Trudeau is extremely narcissistic. And then speaking of narcissistic, we got to take a look at Jagmeet Singh, who took to X and did this little recap video. 2024 was a battle, fighting against the Liberal inaction, fighting against callous conservative cuts, which is crazy. The Conservatives haven't cut anything. For you and your loved ones, we're going to keep fighting in 2025.
2024 was a battle. Here's a list of every fight and every win New Democrats secured for you going up against Liberals and Conservatives.
Okay, so the only reason they got those was because of a coalition deal. In order to keep Trudeau in power, Jagmeet Singh was able to get those deals as a return.
Now here's a list of every fight and every win Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives secured for you.
Conservatives have not done a coalition. They've refused to do any coalition, and the Conservatives have been denied so many different times because they are blocked by this little shit stain, which is Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau. They'll literally block the most common sense policy because it's Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives putting it forward. So it's a very ridiculous, borderline psychotic comparison.
You in that same year.
That just doesn't make any sense at all. This guy is delusional. He somehow thinks that people are stupid, which is why we like to make fun of him, right? I replied to his post saying, "Fight me, bro, Jagmeet 2024," because he does like jujitsu, and we all know jiu-jitsu bros get on the ground and put their legs up, and that's how they fight. Anyways, moving on here to the uphill battle that Justin Trudeau faces, where it seems like all parties are preparing for an election in the first few months of 2025. Let's take a look.
The pressure isn't letting up on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, with yet another voice within his own party demanding his resignation. Calgary Liberal MP George Chahal has joined public calls for change, publishing a letter that doesn't mince words about how he's had enough of Trudeau's leadership. Mackenzie Gray joins us now from Ottawa. Mackenzie, what's Chahal saying?
Well, he is absolutely eviscerating the Prime Minister, Anne, in a letter Chahal sent to his caucus colleagues that he is now sharing publicly. Any rational individual in a position of leadership would resign, Chahal said. Any group of individuals providing advice based on data and logic would reach the same conclusion. Unfortunately, a small cabal have decided to pursue a reckless strategy of mutually assured political destruction, leading to one of the most pointed calls from a Liberal parliamentarian yet. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau no longer has the support of caucus, and to maintain some dignity, he should immediately tender his resignation. The Prime Minister is said to be reflecting on his political future while vacationing in BC, but Chahal doesn't want to wait for Trudeau, writing to the Liberal Party president, saying, "I would urge the Liberal Party of Canada board to immediately plan for a leadership race, regardless of the Prime Minister's formal resignation." The current Liberal Party constitution says a leadership race must be a minimum of 90 days, time the party might not have, Anne, with an election that could be forced by the opposition within months.
Now, we are heading for a federal election, with polls showing most Canadians now favor casting a ballot early in 2025. Could this topple the Liberals?
Yes.
Well, it certainly could, Anne, and that's what the Conservatives are hoping for, with their plan to bring a non-confidence motion at the committee level in early January to try and bring the government down. And the NDP are saying they will vote with the Conservatives, which would be the first time post-supply and confidence agreement that the NDP wouldn't back the Liberals. But the New Democrats seem to think it might not actually lead to an election.
150.
Referencing back to this vote in 2005, despite losing a non-confidence motion in the House of Commons brought forward from a committee, Paul Martin's Liberals deemed they didn't actually need to ask for an election, and his government continued. Now, the Conservatives had told Global News they plan to structure this motion to make sure the government will fall, but none of this might actually matter, Anne, if the Prime Minister quits. In that scenario, he's likely to prorogue Parliament, shutting down the Commons to allow for a leadership race, meaning votes like this and any other confidence motions could actually be months away.
And that obviously is one of the dangers of the realities that we are facing in this new year 2025, where it seems like even if a vote of non-confidence somehow goes, well, we know it's going to go through, but when it does go through, that might not even be enough, which is crazy. Right? Like, how many loopholes are there that protect Justin Trudeau? A vote of non-confidence is 100% supposed to be able to topple any sitting government, whether it's lack of, support, lack of confidence in a conservative government, or in this case, a liberal government. And now we're finding out that even if it's successful, even if the NDP, Conservatives, and the Bloc vote in favor of the non-confidence, somehow Trudeau could still cling on to power. Like, did I understand that correctly? Or am I missing something here? Because that seems wildly bizarre. And then there's also the prorogation that's on the table, right? So if Trudeau somehow miraculously decides to resign, step down, or if there's going to be a Liberal Party vote that happens to decide who the new party leader is of the federal Liberal Party, which it likely, if it's not Justin Trudeau, it'll likely either be Dominic LeBlanc or Chrystia Freeland, then if that's the case, if that's the direction that they go in, then prorogation is most certainly going to happen, which could delay an election even further. But the chances of that are up in the air. It seems like everyone's on the same page that an election is going to happen in the first half of 2025. But I want to pass the question off to you guys. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about Justin Trudeau being so protected by all these little loopholes by the system? Me, for one, it pisses me off. I mean, this is just absolutely insane. And speaking of insane, we have to take a look here at the Governor General, who urges Canadians to care for their mental and physical health. So in this article, The Governor General is urging Canadians to treat their mental health with the same care as their physical health as they prepare for the year ahead. In a New Year's message, Simon says that she is thinking of all the inspiring people she met in 2024. And it's a very short read, but there's no point other than just a summary that I said. The reason I'm laughing is not because I want people to neglect their physical or mental health. If you need to seek help for mental health reasons, absolutely, please go and do that. But it's just kind of rich coming from the Governor General when Justin Trudeau has screwed over millions of Canadians in the past 9-10 years. And only now, as we're heading into an election year where there is without a doubt going to be a change of power, whether it happens in the first 3 months or whether it happens in October of 2025, an election is going to happen and Pierre Poilievre is going to win. So it's just kind of rich coming from the Governor General going, okay, brace yourself for the Conservatives to win. And I mean, it seems like the whole Trump thing all over again. When Trump won the election, you had a bunch of talk show hosts and Stephen Colbert and stuff. If I'm not mistaken, they basically said to their audience, well, this isn't the results that we wanted. And so everyone needs to just take care of themselves. And I know I'm sad too, right? It's like weird, man. Like this is the best thing that's happening in North America right now. Republicans in power with a sweeping majority and Conservatives about to be in power in Canada with a sweeping majority. Next up, we're going to take a look at Indian news and how they are pooping on Justin Trudeau yet again. I, for one, absolutely love these types of videos. Let's take a look.
Here in India, we've been quite critical of Justin Trudeau, and with good reason, because Trudeau supports separatists and we've criticized his policies, his politics, and sometimes even his hair. But I'm afraid it's time to step aside because Justin Trudeau has a new chief critic, soon to be US President Donald Trump. He's been calling Trudeau governor instead of prime minister, and now he wants a hockey star to replace him. His name is Wayne Gretzky. He played ice hockey in the 1980s and 1990s.
It drives me nuts when people say ice hockey because, as Canadians know, it's not called that. It's only called hockey. And that's how you can spot when somebody doesn't know squat about Canada. They refer to it as ice hockey, but I mean, it's just funny. It's just funny to me.
Often considered to be the greatest player ever. In fact, his nickname is the Great One. Apparently, Donald Trump met Wayne Gretzky recently. Listen to what he told him. And I'm quoting from what Trump said afterwards. I said, Wayne, why don't you run for Prime Minister of Canada? Soon to be known as the Governor of Canada. You would win easily. You wouldn't even have to campaign. He had no interest. Now, Trump may have been joking, but at this point, Gretzky has a better shot than Justin Trudeau. Look at the recent opinion. 69% Canadians say Trudeau should resign. 72% Canadians say that they're unhappy with his government. In Parliament, his situation is dire. Even Trudeau's own MPs are dumping him. His Liberal Party has 153 lawmakers. Around 50 of them want him to resign. That's a third of all party MPs who want Trudeau gone, yet the Prime Minister is clinging on. But maybe not for long. The Conservatives are planning a no-confidence vote next month. Trudeau has survived 3 of those. But the next one could topple him. Do you know why? Because his Khalistani buddy, Jagmeet Singh, plans to vote against him. Until now, he was propping up Justin Trudeau. He was trying to delay the general election, but now Jagmeet Singh says Justin Trudeau has to go. So as things stand, he will be ousted by late January. What a way to start the new year.
No
By
doubt.
losing an office you've held for 10 years. But looking back, where did Justin Trudeau lose the plot?
10 years
I
ago.
guess everywhere. In 2022, he took support from Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. He also peddled their Khalistani agenda. Then last year, Trudeau accused India of killing a Khalistani in Canada. No evidence or intelligence, just a random accusation. Trudeau used up a lot of political capital in that witch hunt, political capital that he did not have. Then this year came Donald Trump. It is no secret that Trump does not like Justin Trudeau. But the Prime Minister saw it as an opportunity. He flew down to Trump's house in Florida. He tried the old charm offensive. Again, big mistake. Trump mocked and insulted Trudeau to his face. He suggested that Canada should join the US to avoid tariffs. It began as a joke at the dinner table. But now Trump won't stop cracking it. Even on Christmas, he sent greetings to Governor Trudeau of Canada. I know it sounds childish and immature, but it also tells you how weak Trudeau is. After days of ridicule, he has finally responded, or at least tried to. Last week, Trudeau posted this old video from 2010. It's called Explaining Canada to Americans. It's a video that reminds the US why Canada matters, whether it's for trade or energy or political support. This is how Justin Trudeau has responded after days of insults. I'm sure Trump is reeling from this zinger. I wouldn't be surprised if he de-escalates after this threat/informative video. The fact is, Trudeau is rudderless. He knows his time is up, but he's simply unable to accept it. I guess the Parliament will have to tell him next month.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out in the coming weeks. I mean, that's when they are basically the Conservatives, January 7th. So in 1 week, the Conservatives are going to be putting forward that motion through the separate committee to basically start the motion of non-confidence. Say, hey, look, everyone's unanimously agreed that Trudeau has to go, so let's get the ball rolling. And that's probably going to beat Jagmeet Singh to the punch, which is going to force Jagmeet to vote in favor of that non-confidence motion. But I personally don't really care right now who puts forward that motion of non-confidence. That might be silly for me to say. Maybe I'll eat those words at one point. Of course, I would like for it to be Pierre Poilievre. And of course, it sucks. It sucks huge that Jagmeet Singh has blocked several, 3 or 4 votes of non-confidence in the past 3 or 4 months by Pierre Poilievre. So I don't want Jagmeet Singh to be the one to put forward the motion on confidence and that one be the successful one. I want it to be Pierre, but I think when it gets into those semantics, we all just want the election to happen. We know Pierre's going to win. Doesn't matter if Jagmeet Singh gets that little bragging right. You're still going to be Prime Minister, Pierre. Let's focus on the bigger picture. But that's my opinion. And maybe it could change tomorrow. Who knows? But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Do you think an election is going to happen in the first couple of months? Let me know your reasoning down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy New Year. Bye for now.